Welcome to Champions Code. I'm your host, Kane Swift. Today on Champions Code, imagine staring down your own Tamburello corner, knowing that pushing your limits might mean risking everything. In today's episode, discover how Ayrton Senna's relentless pursuit of more wasn't just about winning races, but about challenging you to find the courage to face your own fears and live a life without limits. Have you ever wondered what lies on the other side of fear? Not the manufactured kind, but the raw, visceral fear that comes when you're truly pushing your limits. Ayrton Senna knew. On that fateful morning at Imola in 1994, he sat in his Williams race car, eyes fixed on the Tamburello corner. The air hung heavy with premonition, the low growl of his engine masking his quickened breath. He had predicted someone would die here. Now, something in his soul whispered it might be him. These words, spoken years earlier, now carried the weight of prophecy. But to understand why one of Formula One's greatest drivers would continue despite such foreboding, you must first understand what drove him to chase the edge of possibility. In the privileged suburbs of Sao Paulo, young Ayrton Senna had everything most children could want. Yet something gnawed at him, an insatiable hunger for meaning beyond comfort. While other kids played with toys, he found his calling in his father's go-karts at age 13. The first time he gripped that steering wheel, something clicked. This wasn't about winning trophies. This was about finding himself. You could see it in those early photographs. A boy with an almost unnatural focus, finding joy not in victory, but in the pure act of pushing boundaries. Each lap was a question asked of himself. How much further can I go? The smell of fuel became his incense, the roar of engines his meditation. While other young racers celebrated victories with boyish glee, Senna approached each race with the solemnity of a priest entering a temple. He would spend hours studying racing magazines, not as a fan, but as a scholar searching for divine truth in technical details. "Look at him," the other kids would whisper, "who takes a go-kart so seriously." But for Senna, each turn was a prayer, each straightaway a communion with something greater than himself. He wasn't racing against others. He was racing against the limits of human potential. Success in Brazilian karting proved only the beginning. When Senna arrived in Europe, his spiritual approach to racing crashed headlong into the clinical, technical European racing establishment. They saw a talented but strange young man who spoke of racing as if it were a religious experience. He saw an opportunity to prove that pushing limits wasn't just about skill, it was about transcendence. The 1984 Monaco Grand Prix would prove his revelation. In conditions that had seasoned champions tiptoeing around the circuit, Senna danced with his inferior tollman in the rain. Each lap faster than the last, defying physics and fear alike. The race was stopped before he could claim victory, but something more important had been established. This wasn't just talent. This was something else entirely. By 1988, Senna had found his temple, the McLaren MP44. This wasn't just a car. It was the physical manifestation of his philosophy, a machine that could translate his spiritual connection with speed into reality. In that season, he would win 8 races and secure 13 pole positions, but numbers couldn't capture what was really happening. You see, Senna wasn't just driving fast. He was redefining what was possible in a Formula One car. Each qualifying lap was a meditation, each race a sermon on the art of the possible. But with such transcendent ability came controversy. If you're enjoying Champions Code, please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code for our free 7-day email course, The Champion's Edge. Learn the elite mindset of warriors like Jordan and Phelps to intelligently outperform. Now, back to the episode. His rivalry with Alain Prost became legendary, not just for its intensity, but for what it revealed about the cost of pushing boundaries. The crashes at Suzuka in '89 and '90 weren't just racing incidents. They were philosophical statements. The media narrative shifted. Hero became villain. But what they called reckless, he called necessary. What they saw as dangerous, he understood as the price of progress. Every criticism only reinforced his conviction that few understood the true nature of his quest. He understood that pushing limits wasn't just about personal glory. It was channeling millions into helping underprivileged Brazilian children. It was about expanding what's possible for everyone. When Senna arrived at Imola in 1994, something had changed. The Williams car felt wrong. Roland Ratzenberger's death in qualifying had shaken him deeply. His friend, Dr. Seed Watkins, begged him not to race. You might think this was stubbornness, but it was something else. Senna understood that pushing limits meant accepting risk, not ignoring it. He knew the cost might be ultimate, but he also knew that without those willing to push beyond the edge, humanity stays stuck within its comfortable boundaries. Senna's death transformed Formula One. Safety improvements he had long advocated for became standard. His institute continues to transform young lives in Brazil. But his greatest legacy isn't about racing or charity. It's about the nature of human potential itself. Here's what Senna understood that most miss. The limit isn't a wall, it's a horizon. Each time you reach what you thought was impossible, you discover there's more beyond. So here's your Tamburello corner. What edge are you afraid to approach? What limit have you accepted without questioning? Senna's life wasn't about being the fastest driver in history. It was about showing what's possible when you refuse to accept the boundaries others have drawn for you. The next time you feel that edge approaching, in your work, your relationships, your personal growth, remember Senna's words. The question isn't whether you'll find your limit. The question is, what will you do when you get there? Will you break early? Or will you, like Senna, keep pushing until you discover what lies beyond the edge? On the next episode of Champions Code, imagine the burning question that's haunted every motorsport fan since Senna's tragic day at Imola. What if another legend had risen from those same dangerous tracks? In our upcoming episode, we delve into a story that starts where Senna left off, following another man who dared to dance with death on the edge of control. This week in motorsports, prepare to meet Michael Schumacher and witness how his relentless pursuit of perfection not only reshaped Formula One, but also echoes Senna's own reckoning with fate. Please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code, or follow the pinned link to get our free 7-day email course, The Champion's Edge. 7 days, 7 champion habits. Train your mind like an Olympian and outmaneuver competitors while putting in less effort. Click the video that just popped up to watch the next one in this series. Or for episode summaries, behind-the-scenes info, and more, go to daily8.com/cc. Thanks for watching.